Okay, welcome everybody. I want to call the meeting to order. We're going to try to follow the good old Robert's Rules of Order here. So forgive me if I don't follow it correctly. Somebody else can jump in and correct me or follow it. You're going to page down. Are you in control? Okay. Okay, there's a sign in at the back table. When everybody signs in, make sure you sign in with your name and your membership number. If you are calling in online via Zoom, just type your name inside the chat box. If you don't have your membership number, that's okay. If you can, you could add it. Joanne will be able to look it up. We have an agenda that I sent out to the entire membership. And that's what I have on this agenda right now. Now, is there any agenda items that was not on the membership that people would like to discuss at this meeting? We could add it now or bring it up as we go by. Because I know there's probably going to be different topics going on. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to approve the meeting minutes from 2022. The meeting minutes from 2022 have been online since last September. So is anybody going to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Make sure Joanne can hear you. Joanne's recording all this in the back here. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, we're gonna move right to the officer reports. Okay, do we approve? You have to make a motion to vote on it, or?
No.
Okay.
You just say.
Do we is everybody in agreement with last year's 2022 meeting minutes? Anybody not? I hear no nays. Okay, so the meeting minutes are approved. Okay, now we'll move into the officer reports. Just so everybody knows, we'll make some quick introductions for those that may not know who we are. I'm the president. Brian Jones over here, he's the vice president. Joanne in the back over there is the secretary. And Doug Glass over there is the treasurer. And when we get into the committee member reports, we'll introduce them as they go by. As the president, I'll give the president, and the president also handles the association. So my report is going to be on the association report. You want to pull it up? Yep. It's going to be the president association. Okay. All right. Last year, what we'll first talk about is last year's annual meeting in Orlando. Last year's meeting was back to normal as opposed to the 2021 meeting that was pretty much virtual. So it was in person, and we sent a bunch of delegates, and the people's names on there were the delegates. There was also some other people from Lake Erie that attended the meeting, and their names are on there too. At the meeting, just so everybody knows what the officers do and the delegates, we attend numerous workshops and seminars and committee meetings. As the president and association lead there, I attend a lot of association workshops. There was other workshops on IT, safe sports, sanctions, insurance, how to gain facilities. There was also a nice little association workshop where all the presidents of our region met together. And that was very enlightening because a lot of the issues that a lot of presidents are having at other associations are the same problems we're having with our association. And most of those will be discussed later. There's also a president's breakfast with Vin, and with him, some of those issues were brought up. We'll see if anything ever happens. We had another meeting with their marketing team from USA Track and Field. They're the ones that send out a lot of monthly material, and a lot of that material I sent to Phil in right here, and Phil sticks it on our media site, tries to make our stuff that we're getting from the national office at least look professional. I also attended the general session for associations and did the closing ceremony. This year's annual meeting is in Orlando again. I think this is year 3, and I think it's finally going to be done with Orlando. Orlando's a nice place to go to in December. The problem is the prices. I mean, the hotels aren't cheap and food is not cheap. No matter where you go, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So it costs us as an association a lot of money to send people to go there. At the end of my report, and this will be posted online, is everything that I did when I went to the annual meeting. Now, every delegate that went to the meeting last year filled out one of these reports, and these reports that I received will be attached to the meeting minutes of this meeting. So everybody can go back and see what was discussed, what meetings they attended. Basically, what I want everybody to know is we are required to send delegates to the annual meeting, and it does cost money, and we don't pay for all the money for all the delegates, but a majority of their cost is usually paid for. And I want people to know we're just not sending people to go there to have fun. When we go to the annual meeting, there's a lot of work that we have to do. And it's, I've been there 3 times now, and no, I've never been to Disney World when I was there for any of these. There's no time for going to do all that. And by the end of the day, when you're done with all these meetings, you're usually tired and you got to get up the next morning and start it again. So it's just a lot of work, and I want people to know what we're doing when we go there. We had some board of director meetings and committee chair meetings this year. We had one on February 2nd. We had one on June 15th, and we had one just this past week on August 16th. We'll have a couple more before the end of the year. We'll have one before we'll probably have 3. We'll have one before the jump and throws meet. We'll have another one before the cross country meet, and we'll have another one before the annual meeting. This is so everybody gets on the same page and make sure we have everything coordinated for when we host our meets. In addition to our local meets, there's a lot of meetings that I have to attend during the year, and I'm not going to go through each one of them up there, but those are all different meetings that I have to call in on Zoom meetings to see. A lot of them had to do with the youth, for the youth meet, the youth national meet that we had at Spire. Another one has to do with, the Pan American Games that are coming next year, and the Grow to Impact grant that we received, the $5,000 we received for that grant. We have to continually go to these meetings and tell them what we're doing. This year for our association meets, we had our indoor meet. We made it indoor championships where we allowed all ages to participate this year. We were hoping to open it up to the youth, but we know it's during school and everything, but we figured, hey, if they want to run, why not let them run? So that was on February 19th at Mount Union. We had our association JO meet on June 17th at Spire. Then we were basically the ones hosting the youth combined events on June 26th to 27th at Spire, and then the youth outdoor championships at Spire on June 28th to July 1st. And then we hosted the Open Masters and the Midwest Regionals on July 2nd at Spire. That was one long week, and I'm glad we made it through that. We also hosted the USTF Women's 6K Championship on July 6th at Canton. And yet to come this year on July 17th, we're hosting the Jump and Throws Championship at Spire, and our cross country championships will be November 11th at Columbiana High School. Now, just while it's on top of my head here, just remember, we're always looking for facilities to host these meets. So if anybody has any ideas on better places to host meets, please let me know. Just keep in your mind when you find a nice stadium. Okay, everybody can go out and find a nice high school stadium. Just remember, high school stadiums are not set up for USA track and field. So that takes a lot of time for people like us to go out there for free to mark up the tracks, get the field events set up. So we're always looking for places that have a lot of it already set up. So it takes a lot of effort off of us, and we could focus on running the meet, not getting the meet set up. Phil, did you have a question?
The requirements to host the Lake Erie Association meet, I believe they're on a website. We came up with pretty indoor and outdoor championships for open and masters, youth meet, and then also cross country. So,
If anybody can't find them, just send me an email and we'll get you those requirements. Okay. Some other major meets that are upcoming, next year, we will be hosting the 2024 Pan American Master Games. Right now, I have a tentative schedule set up from July 13th to July 17th. It'll be at Baldwin Wallace University. And the way I have the event set up right now, we're going to have different crews where we'll have like a running crew, we'll have a throws crew, and we'll have like a jumps crew, and maybe another, when I say jumps crew, basically at the college itself, at the track, we'll have the running crew, and we'll have somebody to do pole vault and high jump over there, and they'll be on pole vault and high jump will be on separate days, so the same crew can do that. And then we'll have the jumps crew, they'll do the long jump and triple jump, and those will be on separate days, so the same group can do that. And then all the throws will be on separate days. Every event will be on a separate day, just because the way Baldwin Wallace is set up, you can't throw more than one thing at a time. So it makes it easy for that. Once that schedule gets finalized, I'll have it published, but I'm still waiting for the Sports Commission to approve it. They basically asked me what events. I talked to a lot of people to come up with the events, and every time they go to another meet somewhere else, they're like, well, why don't we have this event? Why don't we have this event? They want to add this, they want to add that. And I said, okay, you're turning this into a 2-week meet. They're going to these big national meets. They're like 2 weeks long. Well, you can do every event in 2 weeks. We're trying to do this in 5 days and have a rain day as one. So I'm trying to keep them down. Now they wanted to add Paralympics to it too. So I'm trying to get some events for them. So we'll see. The biggest thing I'm fighting with them right now is they think that everybody in the state here has 27-inch hurdles. So I'm like, sure, we'll do 27-inch hurdles if you get us the hurdles. And they say, well, how much your hurdles cost? I said, well, they're going to cost about, I'm just picking a number, $150, but I think 27-inch hurdles are pretty much custom. So I think they're going to be a little bit more than that. And then you need a maximum. If we run a championship meet and we do it correctly, there's 8 lanes at Baldwin Wallace. The longest event has 8 hurdles. So we need 64 hurdles. Times that by 150, and we're over $10,000. I don't think they're going to pay for that. So I'm waiting for them to make a decision to finalize that. The next meet that's coming big is 2025. The NCAA D3 Outdoor Championship will be at Spire again on May 29th and 31st. That's usually regional weekend for high school. So plan that accordingly when you start submitting your applications. Make sure you don't have a conflict. Okay. Frank. This is the second year in a row we've done the USATF Grow to Impact grant. This is something that we have to put together a nice proposal to get this $5,000. It's open to every association that wants it, but they have to put a proposal together of what they're going to do. This year, the board met and we agreed that we would, out of that $5,000, we would invest in marketing collateral to promote USATF. And when we did that, we bought posters that we put up at high school meets. We made postcards that we tried to hand out to people at meets. We had brochures that were created. We tried to do everything we can to try to get it out. And during the during the spring track season, we tried to give this stuff to different people to take to different meets. And we tried our best to get all the meets during the summer promoted. We also sponsored a table at the Ohio High School track championship down in Columbus. We paid for that. We also put money out to pay for Lake Erie Association's Grand Prix. That's the road race that I'm sure Phil could talk about more about it later. So that's what the grant did. So we got another $5,000. Chances are, I do not think they're going to offer this $5,000 again. We have a little money left, and I've proposed to the board that we buy implements for the youth and for masters. Basically, there's a lot of implements that were left over from the youth national meet from last summer. All those implements were for the youth, and we're going to purchase those implements. So when we have our meets, the implements are available for the kids to use, and we'll make sure. And while I'm coming up on here, I'm also looking for a person that can be the keeper of implements. So when we get all these implements, we need we'll even pay for a storage site if we need to. But to be honest with you, outside of the biggest is probably a javelin. Okay, that's not that big. The weight, there's a lot of weight, but we're looking for somebody that can handle, keep these implements to make sure the kids can use them at the meets. I mean, we do a lot of meets, or some of the meets that we do, kids don't have the turbo jabs or stuff like that. So let's get the kids to use it so they can get prepared to do the big meets. So we're looking at that. So once we get that, we're going to be looking for somebody to host that. Next big thing I have on here is sanctions. And when I say sanctions, I'm not talking about meet sanctions that'll be discussed later. I'm talking about our association being a sanctioned association with USA Track and Field. What you're looking here, it might be a little small here, but these are all the different areas that USA Track and Field looks at our association to see if we meet their sanctions. And year after year, we have been falling short. So, and I would say that the main reason why we have not lost our association is because there's a lot of other associations. There's 52 associations, I believe. There's a lot of other associations that are dealing with the same issue. They finally this year upgraded from the 2010 census and went to the 2020 census. But if you look here, when they did this, I got this a couple months ago, and I had to put together a plan for improvement of what we're going to do to meet our requirements. Members, we're supposed to have 894. At the time this happened, we had 813, and we were 81 short. According to Joanne's numbers that we just got, we now have 1,007. So I think we meet that. Out of organizational members with clubs, we need to have 23 clubs. We have 27. So we should be meeting that. The problem what we are having is an actual sanctions of track meets, road races, stuff like that. After COVID hit, the amount of people sanctioning meets now have really gone down. How many would you say about it? Like 50%, Joanne?
Yes.
We're supposed to have 46 sanctioned meets a year. We now only have 27.
Wow.
So that's a problem. I don't see us being able to improve.
Plus the safe sport too.
Right. Well, that's the problem. A lot of these people that were sanctioning meets had to have safe sport, and they're not going to go through the whole safe sport stuff. And Jane's going to talk a little bit here where something else rides on to road races. Road races are pretty much where we got killed on people stopping our sanctions. We host the amount of championships, so we're good there. We have enough officials in our associations. We're a fiscal solvent. They said that our website, they flagged our website. I don't know what's wrong with our website. I sent them an email. I said, what's wrong with our website? I thought we met all the requirements. They said, well, we'll take a look at it again. So they can't even tell me what's not right. All the other the documents that we're supposed to provide, we have the representation. We provide all the delegates that we're required to send to the annual meeting. Every meeting that we're really supposed to go to, we have somebody at. So I think we meet all that. Okay, Frank. I've been getting a lot of emails, to me about transgender, how we're going to deal with that, because everybody wants to look ahead and say what we're going to do when it comes to one of our meets. Overall, what they stress, number one, is we can't deny anybody from running. I put together a little document here for what USATF says, and I also put one together on NCAA. And I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but the policies are on here. I have the policy for USATF, and just to summarize it, if we're at a meet and there's a transgender person there, they could run whatever they want to run, not a problem. If it's a biological male and they want to run with the females, they can, not a problem. Where the problem comes in at is if there's an award or even money, prize money associated with it, another female person can protest. And if that female protests, then it goes back to the referee. And the referee can make a decision then based on documents, say like a driver's license. If I was the referee at the meet and I had to make a decision, I would ask for the person's driver's license. And if that driver's license said male or female, that's how I would have to judge it. Now, if they don't like the decision, they can protest again and they can file a grievance. It goes to USA Track and Field and it's out of our hands. That's how it works there. NCAA is a little different. They have a whole system set up. It's when you read it slowly, I don't want to read the whole thing. It's pretty big. It's pretty black and white. Basically, they're following their thing is they have to follow the governing body, which is USA Track and Field. And they have it in there, and there's some hormone testing and stuff that they have to get done. But the one thing they want to make sure that if this ever comes up at a meet, that, be quiet about it. It's with the person. You don't want to go spread it around. You don't want to do it. You want to be silent, and it's all confidential. If anybody has any questions with it later on, you could read it online in the minutes. Feel free to ask the question. And if I can't answer it, which I probably wouldn't be able to, at least I could send it to USA Track and Field or send it to somebody from NCAA to answer it. Okay, go to the necrology report. One thing we have to do, we have to publish if anybody passes away. Do we know of any officials or any USATF members that have passed away the past year? Okay, that's a good thing because there's years where we've had several. The next thing on the plate here is the bylaws. There are some items in the bylaws that we have to update. And the first thing is, and some of these directives came from USA Track and Field. Some of them aren't that big of a deal. Like number 1 here, part of our Article 2 definitions, they wanted us to add this definition of diversity. And it basically says diversity means differences among individuals, including but not limited to race, gender, age, ethnicity, or national origin, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, religious belief, physical ability, or disability. This is what USA Track and Field wants us to put in. I don't see any issues with it. Before we vote on this, it's just a definition they want us to put in. So we could go on that. The next thing had to do with the nominating process. Couple things. What I have here, you see in the red here, the stuff that's crossed out is stuff that they want removed from the bylaws, and the stuff that's not crossed out is added. So basically they want us to say nomination for all offices shall be made by the nominating committee consisting of at least 3 people appointed by the president. Nominations for officers can be what they want to do now is have anybody nominate. We don't need to have a nominating committee. If somebody wants to run for an office, another member of our association can nominate that person. Just makes it a little simpler. The other it talks about email nominations. Candidates for all elected positions must be allowed via email prior to finalizing the ballot. The process must be explained to members. The nominating process must not be unduly rigorous. So basically, next year is a voting year. A couple of years ago, we changed our bylaws to make it 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms, and for that voting to happen every Olympiad. So next year we'll have a voting election, and what we'll do prior to the election, we'll ask for nominations, And if somebody wants to be nominated, they could email it in to whoever secretary, like Joanne, and be put on the ballot. So that's what they're asking. Just email, we'll make it easy, email a nomination and it'll be done. Mail ballot nomination opportunity. If a mail ballot is used, an opportunity to nominate candidates must be given to all members prior to filing. The same thing with mail. We won't do mail. I can tell you that right now. We'll do electronic. We had to do that back during COVID, and I thought it worked pretty good with the voting system that we had. One thing that they did add here is a candidate must be a member of the association who is at least 18 years of age at the start of the term of office. Now, that's always been in there. Now, here's what they added. They must complete a USATF approved background check and possess a current Safe Sport training certificate or renewal before basically taking the office. So basically, every officer now has to be 3-step compliant. 3-step compliance easy. Have membership, have Safe Sport, have background check. That's the only thing changing on that. Keep going. And then in 4, the one thing that we had to add is any ballot opened when we do our voting. When we're voting, we do ballots in the, say we're doing the ballot in the room here. Any ballots opened outside the presence of the entire voting panel should not be counted. So when we do voting, we have to have 3, I'll have to appoint 3 people to count the votes. Those 3 people go outside, they count the votes, and those are the ballots that count. If a ballot is opened up outside of them, that ballot will not count. That's, I guess, most of this stuff is trying to stay consistent with this governing manual right here. Okay. Committee chairs, the same thing happened with committee chairs, where we had the officers having to be 3-step compliant. Committee chairs now have to be 3-step compliant. On Article 9, that was just something I found inside there that was never deleted from the bylaws. I figured we could make it now. We used to have a president, executive vice president, secretary, and treasurer. During the last voting, we eliminated the executive vice president position, and for some reason it was still inside the bylaws. Okay. Article 11, basically what I did here is I took all our committee members, and actually the way they're written down with USA Track and Field, I took out the old ones and just put in all all the committees, all the committee chairs. We have 25 committee chairs, and those are the committee chairs that are written inside there. So all we're doing is just updating the bylaws to show exactly what the chairs are. And there was on regulation 1 out of the book here for, well, it turns into our regulation 1, formal grievances and disciplinary proceedings. Basically, it was just a little bit of rewriting what it says. Basically, it said the same thing. But it's just they just made some minor word changes, but it does the same thing. Now, does anybody have, while we're on the bylaws, does anybody have any questions so we could go back and discuss those bylaws? If you do, we'll think about it before we vote. We'll talk about it. Okay, USATF Lake Erie Apparel. I just want to remind everybody that this link here goes to Final Score Sporting Goods in Parma. We've worked with them where they make our association attire. So if you want any kind of USATF stuff, you could be an official or not an official. You could just get USATF Lake Erie on it. You can go to this, click on this link, and this link will send you to their site, and you can pretty much get anything you want there. Which you could, basically, we tried to do this to make it cheaper than having to go to the USATF site for officials and pay $200 for some Gore-Tex jacket. You could get some very reasonable jackets here, shirts here, hats here, just to help us out so we're not paying a lot of money. At the end here, I just added some useful links. If you have any issues, USATF has some nice videos for their Zendesk, some how-to videos, how to recover USA Connect. If you have issue with your membership there, issues for clubs. And that's it for my report for the association president. Anybody have any questions?
Is this on?
This report, well, we don't have a place for links online, but the report, the whole meeting minutes will be posted within the next week, which will have everything we're talking about. Everything will be online. So it's same with this recording of this meeting. You could actually go back to recording and watch something too. So you go back to the agenda. So next on the agenda is the vice president's report.
Remember, you couldn't go to the meeting or something like that.
Is that it?
That's report. Good job. Perfect.
That reminds me of one thing here. Vice president's got the easiest job. But next year is an election year, remember. I will probably run for one more term if you guys choose to keep me, which means that vice president next year better learn what we do, because Joanne, there's a lot of stuff we do, right? Doug, there's a lot of stuff we do, right? So basically, we don't need a vice president, but we want the vice president, whoever is going to be vice president, be able to step in as the president and handle stuff like that and be able to know everything that we do. And Brian was very good with some of the meetings. I would say, hey, I can't go to this. Brian was able to hop in on those meetings and represent Lake Erie. So, Joanne, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I happened to look down and it made me think of a question concerning the Pan American Games next year. Which governing body bylaws will be in force at this event since it's international?
International IMAG or
Right.
theirs,
Okay,
which I think falls back on our rules.
okay, because my thought was that maybe World Athletics would have something to do with it, and their transgender rules are considerably different than USATF at this point.
Theirs are getting close to,
Are they?
yes,
Okay,
yes, I would say in a matter of time. I mean, we're supposed to follow World Athletics. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be changing to that later on. I think USA Track and Field wants to follow World Athletics. The problem is the legal system in the United States is probably causing some of that. So we'll see what happens with that.
okay.
But regular, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. And I will, that's a good thing. My next meeting with the Cleveland Sports Commission, I'm going to ask them, how are we going to handle this?
Well, I looked down and I'm like, well, we need to be proactive because that particular this is very different. So,
That's the whole reason for bringing this up. We haven't had any issues yet. Let's bring it up before we have that, so we know how to handle it. Bill?
Will Pan Am be sanctioned?
Well, I don't know why it wouldn't be sanctioned. Why would, Joanne, would there be any reason why we would not be able to sanction that meet?
Yeah.
Pan Am Masters?
It's not. I don't know.
What's the difference between sanctioning that meet and any other meet that somebody wants to host?
My question, Dave, would it be Lake Erie Association putting in for the sanction? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'd probably have the Cleveland Sports Commission pay for the sanctioning. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, how are we gonna pay for the?
That's what I heard from Jerry.
right. I don't know why what would we be doing that does not meet the rules?
No, I know, I just thought that like USATF when we were in Pittsburgh was kind of weird about it.
I just, when Don will talk about it a little bit later. I'm kind of getting the feeling that USATF Masters may be trying to sabotage this a little bit. So, and I want to kind of put that down before it happens. Joanne, do you want to do your report now?
Dave, you and I were in all the same meetings. I don't really have one.
Everything that,
You want my clubs and sanctions and all that, or not?
sure, yeah, you could do that. Oh,
Oh,
well, no, we'll wait, we'll go in order.
Yeah.
Let's do that. All Brian's, what he did at the annual meeting, all Joanne's, Doug's, everybody's is all gonna be attached to the meeting minutes. So it's too long to go through, but everything will be in there. Doug?
I'll just go over the Lake Erie Association final statement for 2022. Our opening balance of January 1st of 2022 was 58,792. Our income for that this past year's is 112. Our total expenses for that 2022 was 32,977. So we had a deficit of 4,864, and our balance as of December 31st of 2022 was 53,927. We got a for this year, as of August 19th of 2023, we're in the black right now for 14,745. But we still have the annual meeting coming up, and that will chew up about $16,000 out of that, and we still haven't gotten our pros meet as well as our cross country meet. So that's how we're sitting right now.
Okay, any questions before we move into the committee chair reports? Okay, I already did the association with the president's report. Kelly, you're online. Can you hear us?
I am. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. All right. So I am the chair for the Athlete Advisory Committee. And they have several meetings throughout the annual conference. And I attend those and attend other meetings for masters and law and legislation and women's commission. So I kind of flitter in and out between meetings. But the key takeaways from when I did sit in on the athlete advisory committee meetings is it was a board of directors. They had to name members of the board of directors this year. So Bernard Legat was named as an AAC representative, along with Amy Begley, who continues as an AAC representative to the USATF board of directors. And then Kiwi Johnson from Spire is named as an alternate ACC representative to the USATF board of directors. So that was the big vote at the AAC this year. And then what I thought was interesting as I was running in between meetings when I would attend the AAC meetings is that there were multiple discussions regarding the unionization of athletes and how they think that this could be accomplished to create more bargaining power for the elite athletes. So that was a key discussion in a lot of the meetings that I attended. It came up multiple times. So that's my takeaways from the Athlete Advisory Committee. So I don't know where this unionization discussion is going to lead, but they're talking about it.
All right, thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Joanne, club?
Right now we're at 26 clubs. For accreditation, we need at least 23. Last year we had 20, so we're up on close.
Okay, coaching education chair, Chip.
All right. Okay, there were awards that were given at the beginning of sessions. And there's two sessions. There's an executive session and then there's a general session. There was a Rising Star Award given to Sean Ard, Legacy Award, Russ Evans, Education of the Year Award for Christine Brooks. Service Awards, Jeremy Fisher. All right, in terms of coaches' education, when we go to these meetings, they're 2 hours long or something, and there's a lot of information and stuff. So what we have to do, or what I try to do, is comb through it and get the information, eliminate the opinions and how they feel and all that type of stuff. Which, when I get to diversity, there's a whole bunch of that. But the main sticking points was, we talked about the level 1 schools. They had 8 in-person schooling, and they also did Zoom schooling last year. Trying to do both to see how that will work out. Let's see, they brought on about 1,500 coaches as of last year that have gone through the process. Let's see. They averaged about 26 people when they did the Zoom meetings. Level 2 schooling, they brought that back online, and they were together at Butler University. They had 91 attendees across the core groups, which was the jumps, the sprints, and the distance programs. They also started a new program. They opened up a registration the following week after the level 2 program to eliminate having to go for 5 days. Level 2 schooling is a 5-day process. They started this thing where you go over the weekend to see how that will go. So they cut up level 2 so that you can make it a weekend program, so that you didn't have to go through that 5-day stretch. They had 165 individuals in the initial level 2 weekend that they offered those disciplines in, and they considered it a success. Let's see. Also, in the summer, they had 2 more, what they call very popular specialist classes, which was in cross country, to be a cross country specialist. They were both on Zoom. They were not on site anywhere. They updated the curriculum to cover blended learning and teaching online. And something that we've added is instructor recertification across the board. That's one of the things they spent a lot of time talking about. It's all of the instructors had to be recertified. And they talked about that process a lot. All right. They also mentioned the grants that they have. They have emerging female grants that are available for level 1 and level 2 tuition. They also have level 2 and level 1, and some are for actual residents. So if you go to Butler or wherever they have it, they will pay for your tuition. But you have to be, what is that, 3-step compliant to receive one of those grants. So they encourage everyone, especially for you females, if you are interested in becoming coaching certified, to seek out those grants, and you may be chosen, you may be able to go to school for free, or a portion of your tuition paid for. That's pretty much it for coaches. You want me to do diversity now, or come back later?
We'll come back. Thanks, Chip. Communication Chair Frank.
So I attended pretty much the same meetings as Dave and Joanne and Doug and Brian. But we did get to sit down, all the communications chairs from all the different associations, and just kind of go over, any tips and tricks we had for using USATF's platform, which is called Campaign Manager, what I use to send out emails to our membership and to officials. And just, some issues that people are still having from time to time with it. It's worked pretty well for what we've wanted to use it for. Other than if you reply to the email, it goes to a black hole. Nobody checks that email. So, I know some people just like to hit that reply button sometimes and don't see like, hey, if you want more information or, contact so-and-so, to apply for meet for officiating or stuff like that. But I went and looked, and I sent 28 emails, so far this year, and I didn't think that many. I try not to be constantly blowing people up with emails. I don't want to send emails constantly, because then it loses effect. So we try to keep it short, simple, to the point, relevant information. But yeah, there was 28 this year, and they ranged from announcements like of the USATF Youth National Championships at Spire, to looking for officials for our meets, Spire meets, and anybody. If anybody, reaches out and says, "Hey, I need some officials for a meet," we send out their information to all of our officials. So newsletters, all go out through that system. If you have not received them, make sure under your USATF Connect profile you have Association Communications subscribed. I know there's like 4 different categories, but to get the emails from me, you have to be subscribed to Association Communications. And then in my report here, just the upcoming meets we have for the rest of the year and the links to apply for them, which are all on our website. But I put the registration links in my report, which will be attached here. We've got our jump and throw meet on September 17th on Sunday at Spire. And then we've got the cross country, which will be November 11th at Columbiana, like we've talked about before. So that's it for my report. Any questions?
Just to add on to Frank's there, a couple years ago when they started this campaign manager, they did it so, well, to start out at the beginning of the year, all the officers, Frank, we all have to sign an agreement with USA Track and Field that we won't share your information. So in the past, people would say, I'd get phone calls from people, "Hey, I'm going to have a meet. Can you send me your list of all your officials?" Well, I can't do that anymore. Now that's when you see somebody sends that to me and I say, "Tell me what you want to say." And then I give it to Frank, and Frank sends it out a blast to all the officials. We could send you could send blasts out to the entire membership. You could send blasts out to just officials.
Yeah, you can go in and make groups, categorize it, however you can filter it through the database.
But it's really difficult for us to filter out youth versus masters, or we can't do that. So we can't send youth stuff out as opposed to masters, as opposed to open. That makes it difficult. So unless that's why you don't see many emails coming straight from me anymore. Because we have to do that, and it gives the people the ability to unsubscribe if Frank's sending too much stuff. And once you unsubscribe, you won't get any of our emails. Okay, Phil, cross country.
Cross country at the USATF annual meeting is relatively easy. There's 2 meetings, so if anybody there would go to Disney World, it would be me, but of course I attend many other meetings down there. Cross country down there, you have the general or the executive session, and then you have the general session, and basically all they talk about is the club cross country meet, the US cross country championships, and then if it's a world cross country championship, the selection of a team for the world cross country, which will be held at the US championships. But anyway, my 2023 Lake Erie cross country reports for local. I have a cross country series that's been approved by the Lake Erie Association Board. There will be three meets. The first meet will be on September 9th. The second meet will be on September 28th. The third meet will be on October 14th. The entry forms are in the back. You just show up. If you're a Lake Erie Association person, you do 2 of those 3 cross-country meets plus the association championship at Columbiana High School on November 11th. You'll get a t-shirt, a Lake Erie Association t-shirt. So those meets are going to be held, 2 of those 3 meets will be held before the high school cross-country meet, middle school cross-country meets. 1 will be held after that. On Sunday, October 7th, 2023 is the USATF Masters 5-kilometer cross-country championship that will be held in Boca Raton. There's individual and team championships. Saturday, December 9th, 2023 is the Club Cross Country Championship in Tallahassee, Florida, that I have raced at several times in Tallahassee, but in other places. That is also open and masters, and that's a very popular event of sports for clubs. and looking forward to next year's Saturday, January 20th, 2024, is the USATF National Cross Country Championships, and that's going to be held relatively close to us in Richmond, Virginia. And that meet will select the US team for the 2024 World Athletics Cross Country Championship to be held in Mendeleev, Croatia, in February 10th and 11th in 2024. There'll be junior races, open races, and masters races at the US Championships in January. And there will also be in February the same thing, junior race, senior races that they call open. And then there will be masters that will be invited there, and there'll also be a relay. So if you have any questions on cross country, let me know. If you are working any cross country meets, high school meets, let me know. I'll give you some informational flyers for the youth meet on November 11th also, and all the registrations going to be done online. But just having those flyers out is a good thing. That's my comment.
Okay. Chip, back to you on diversity and leadership.
All right, what I generally do when I go down is I record everything and then I put it in software and have it transcribed out. Diversity, I had 40 pages, 40 plus pages of information that was printed out. And as I mentioned before, a lot of people share their experiences and talking about their opinions on things. Some of the things that we talk about. There is a problem with our officials' uniforms. When you look at how it's worded, there's men's tops versus women's tops. It should just be tops that could be ordered for our uniforms. This is the type of stuff that we have discussed. And I'm not sure, as a person who's trying to figure all this stuff out, how important that is. But we talk and we spend a lot of time covering things like that. Someone brought up a committee to talk about when we go for choosing championship sites to make a requirement of the gender neutral restroom. Now, it's hard enough to get in facilities as it is. If we add that on, it was deemed that that's something that if they be asked, maybe questioned, hey, do you have this type of thing? But if we say, all right, we got everything here, but you don't have the gender neutral bathrooms, we can't leave it. So these are the type of things that we kind of go over. If you really want to know or have an idea of what this committee is about, there is the mission statement in the document library. If you go to the USATF annual meeting, you can pull it up and you can see what our general mission is supposed to be. But we're kind of aimlessly touching on things that I'm not sure is very helpful. All right. One of the things that was discussed, and I'll bring this up on because someone mentioned it in one of their experiences that they shared. One of the things that they did to increase membership in Arizona, they applied for a grant through the association, and they offered to reach out to the clubs, and they paid for one club from one coach from each club to become a certified official and offer a mentor program. And supposedly that brought on a lot of new officials to the association. So that is what it is. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, next up, Masters LDR Chair, Doug.
In my committee, we do a lot of voting on Masters Athlete of the Year, Masters Road Runners of the Year, Masters Age Division Road Runners of the Year, Paul Spangler Award, and Auto Essence. The only good point that I can bring up to is Jeannie Rice. She's out of Menor, Ohio, in our association. She won the age group of 70 to 74. And so she won that award. The other thing that we have is the Masters Grand Prix, which is a series of road races cross country. And we have 3 of them left. September 17th, which is our 2023 USATF Masters 12K championships in Highland, New Jersey. Phil brought up the other 2, October 7th, which is the 2023 USATF Masters 5K cross country in Boca Raton. And December the 9th, which is the USATF National Club Cross Country Championships in Tallahassee, Florida. That's my report.
Okay, next up is Don Ports, Masters Track and Field. Before Don starts, let's congratulate Jeff Gerson, who's been a long time Masters Track and Field, that gave it over to Don this past year. Let's thank Jeff for all the work that he's done for all the years.
That's, I don't know if Jeff probably doesn't know. I took over after the national meeting, so I was not at this last year's national meeting. I don't know if there's anything.
The key thing was that, they're having trouble finding facilities to host the indoor nationals because most of the new facilities, they'll have the straightaway for the sprints in the middle, and they have field events in the middle, and they can't do the sprints and the field events at the same time. So they gave the bid to Chicago. In Chicago, facilities are so bad that they had to stretch the meet out to 4 days rather than the normal 3 days. And that seems to be the trend going forward. So they're really hurting to find facilities. And I brought the point, well, Spire has the best facility of any place you've ever chosen, but they will not give it to Spire because it's a 300-meter track and you can't set a world record on a 300-meter track. So I mentioned you need to revisit that policy because there might be 3 people in the meet that it affects, and you're now making people get an extra hotel day, and you're affecting 1,000 other people who are spending another couple $100 going to this meeting. So Robert Thomas, who was the vice chairman, said, yeah, we need to address that. I'm guessing that they didn't, but we may want to bring that up again at the national meeting. And that was the key stuff. And the outdoor nationals, the next 2 years is going to be in California. So we're not going to get a lot of local turnout probably, but hopefully Spire will make a bid and we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Jeff. And kind of go with Spire, we do believe Spire is gonna try to make a bid for the 2025 outdoor nationals for the Masters Track and Field.
The good news is Spire did not lose as much money as they thought at the youth nationals. So they're not disgruntled with USA Track and Field. They're willing to continue working with them. And I believe Jeff Orloff and Sue Powell are actually heading down to Indianapolis in the next couple of weeks or so this month they're actually going for NCAA work, but they were also going to go down there and meet with Renee Washington, who's supposedly a friend with Jeff, which may help us get into that.
Okay, and then kind of just local and national. So in February, we held our indoor Masters championship along with the youth, and we had 84 athletes that competed in that event. And then the USATF Masters National Indoor were held March 10th through 12th, 2023 in Louisville, Kentucky. There were 15 members from the Lake Area Association that were at that meet. An outstanding performance was put in by Charles Novak, who ran the 3,000 meter race, he won gold, he won that, the 1,500, and also the 800, he won those, and then the 800, he ran a 2:06.71, which is pending a Masters American record, and that's pending. And then the World Masters Indoor Championship were held on March 26th through the April 1st in Turin, Poland. And again, Charles Novak attended that as a Lake Erie member, and he competed in the 800 meter, and took second, but also broke his master's record there, and then also ran in the 1500 and won that one. The Lake Erie Association Masters Outdoor was held July 2nd in, also with the Midwest Region meet. And we had 154 athletes attend that meet. It was kind of a rainy day, but I still think it went pretty well. The U.S. National Masters Outdoor meet was held July 20th to 23rd in Greensboro, North Carolina. We had several Lake Erie Association members attend. An outstanding performance was put in by Patsy Orez. She won the 100 meter and the 200 meter races at the meet. And then again, Jeannie Rice, besides being a long distance runner, she's starting her track career. She ran the 1500, the 5000 and 10,000, winning all those events. And also for her age group, women 75, setting the world and masters records pending approval in those meets. The U.S. National Masters Throws Championship was held on August 5th through the 6th in Lizelle, Illinois. The Eastern Buckeye member Alex Johnson won throw pentathlon for the men's 40. And there were a few other members from Lake Erie that attended that meet. And then we've kind of been saying for future meets, we do have the throws meet coming September 17th at Spire. Tentatively, we have scheduled, or I proposed to the board to have our Masters indoor meet along with the youth like we did last year on February 18th at Spire. And then tentatively scheduled right now is for March 21st through the 24th. 2024 is the National Masters Indoor Meet in Chicago. And then we mentioned the Pan American Games, July 21st through the 21st, or 12th through the 21st for the Masters. The Outdoor Masters USATF meet has not been determined yet. They're looking to have it out in California. Phil just told me, I guess they're going out in October to check that venue. We did reach out to Jerry, the Masters chair, and tried to let him know that we were hoping they would not schedule the Outdoor Masters at the same time as the Pan American Games. When he called me back to discuss that, and he told me at the time that USATF and the have a kind of a not a good relationship with the International Masters Games Association. There was a rift. I guess in the past they tried to make sure that they didn't schedule games at the same time, and that didn't happen. So he pretty much told me that USATF will not kind of work with us on that. So there's a possibility that the Nationals Masters might be the same week as the Pan American Games. So.
And the date on that's wrong. It's actually 13th through, yeah. Those are dates for probably the entire, but the dates that track and field was choosing were the dates that I wrote off, said, okay?
Okay.
Looks like gonna be how that.
Bald walls.
That's all my.
Okay, membership. Joanne, back to you.
Yeah, currently. We have 107 members.
1007.
1,000. Thank you. For our accreditation, we need 894. So, I can't believe that we finally met our quota. Last year we only had 813, and I have the breakdown here of the last year's of our membership, which was only 813. Adult members, we had 309. VIP members, we had 8. Certified 1-year members, 21. Certified officials. And then 4-year certification of officials, we had 42. And youth, we had 433. So this year, I think having the youth meet here at Spire helped our membership, of course. And our membership is, really driven on youth. So that's my report.
Okay, speaking of that, how membership's driven by youth, that's one thing that I think USATF is really not promoting. And in my report that you'll see, the one from the annual meeting, it'll show what the membership breakdown is in USA Track and Field. And I want to say off the top of my head, I want to say youth membership is like 84% of all membership. So, and I really don't think USA Track and Field is really gearing it towards the youth. Not that Masters isn't in there, but I mean, Masters does a lot too, but I think they're focusing on the elite and the elite only. So something needs to be done. And I mean, we could do what we can try to do at the local level, but I think it needs to start at the top. Okay, next on the list is Melissa Klim. She's the men's LDR, women's LDR chair, but she's not here. Do you know anything? She didn't submit a report.
What I can tell you is that there is a road race, Lake Erie Association road race series with prize money on it. It consists of, started with the Memorial Mile. Second race was Friday Night Lights and Manor. The third race was Johnny K. Jog. There is a little bit of slow time in August. In September, October will be the Peace Race in Youngstown, the 10K Peace Race, and then the Bridge to Bridge Half Marathon in Ashtabula. And it will culminate with the Association Cross Country Meet on November 11th. It has open and masters open. It's sports sort of like cross country. Masters is age rated, but you do need to run the association meet on November 11th to get any of the prize money. So I don't know the updated standings as of right now. But I will talk to her and try to get that out and put on the Facebook page and on the website. So that's what I know.
Okay, men's track and field. So Tony, do you want to do men's and women's at the same time?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Good afternoon. This was my first year going to the men's association at the annual meeting. And believe me, it's a big difference. It's like a lot of testosterone in there. You go into the ladies, because there are no ladies in the men, but then you go to the men, to the ladies, and then there's men in there, and it's a lot more relaxed. I mean, believe me, I want to get out of the men as soon as I was there. So what did I get from that? Nothing, because I mean, like I said, they're like, you gotta go there and experience just to see it and know you don't want to be in it. So did I get anything from guys? No. Status quo, I guess. They argue about everything and talk about everything. It's a big mess. But the ladies, one of the things that they covered that I love hearing about is paternity. Maternity, not paternity. That would be guys, right? Yeah. They talked about the issues of some of these ladies who have ran and were running good, and then they had babies. You know, so they were kind of feel slighted. You know, a guy his wife gets pregnant, he keep running. And these ladies there, they get pregnant, they can't run it. So a lot of the issues that were covered, they talked about it. And Allison Felix, she was like a pioneer for that. And so she did a great job with that. So that's like one of the big things that came up. Also, when I was there, I went to a meeting about, basically, I mean, being a cop, it was like, he covered stuff I already knew. I mean, the same guy was there for the youth guy. What was that guy's name? Yeah, you know. Yeah, guy.
Lot of testosterone.
Yeah, well, not that guy. The guy from Indiana, from Indianapolis, the guy, what's his name? Jeremy, yeah, that guy. So he just talked about. And a lot of us, you are educators, so you have to it basically covers the same thing that you hear about in school. See something, say something, going to certain areas, things like that. He covered he covered stuff like that, he kind of stroked himself. A lot of stuff going on with him too, but he kind of just stroked himself over the stuff he talked about. So that's we're doing that. In our area for the band side, who've done stuff, who really made a lot of noise this year. Amir Willis, he's from Cincinnati, actually from Cincinnati, but he went to Akron. He ran a 9.9 this year. It was 180, but I don't care if it's a typhoon behind you. 9.9 is 9.9. So, he also ran a 20.2 in the 200. Clayton Murphy did his thing again. He also won the team, so he's over doing his thing. Trevor Bassett, he's from Ashland, made the team as well this year. And Matt Ludwig, he did some stuff, but he didn't make the team this year in the football. So that was on the guys' side. Anybody know anybody else that I might have?
I think like, Trevor qualified through this morning. Oh, did he? Great. Okay, so I haven't taken it, John, thank you. I'm sorry. On the ladies' side, I want to hit a couple people that were, they did make the team, well, one did make the team, but they were still in college, and they did real good from our area. One was Kaiser Chancellor from Euclid. She ran real great. She transferred from Cincinnati, and she ended up going to USC, and she made All-American, and she also ran at the US National. Didn't make the team, but she ran in 1 and 2, but she had a great year. Abby Steiner, our girl, she didn't make the team this year, but she did have a nagging injury. Yeah, so, but I mean, she ran fast as well. Yeah. Anybody remember Mackenzie Long from, she was from down in that, what's that? They wear gold and blue. No, high school. It was, I can't think of the name. Down at this, it's in the, what's it? No, it's down in Columbus here, in that area. They always take, always have to be the one earlier did bad this year. The one that hurt.
Oh, I know.
You know what team I'm talking about. Yeah, but that anybody else in school, she went there, but anyway, she was at Mississippi this year. She did real good in the 100, the 200. She did great in indoor in the 200. Made a lot of noise, made All-American, went to the national, didn't make the team, but I thought it would be nice to break her up. And maybe a battle from Ohio State. She was on the Olympic team. She didn't make the team this year, but she was still out there making noise in the 200. Emily Enfield, I swear, does she ever, she didn't make the team this year, but does she ever go away? I mean, she's still running. Everybody probably remember her from so much. It was a bunch of infields, but I think she was the last good one. Yeah, it was actually one behind her, but she probably should have ran because she had a lot of weight to carry behind being an infield because you never heard of her. But it was one behind them, the baby. And then my girls, I love them to death. Jada Taylor. They may fight. Well, no, Jada may fight over the 100 hurdles, but we know that's the hardest thing to make. Yeah, but she made Taylor made the finals in the 400 hurdles. But they're still out there trying to do their thing, And my girl from Ohio State, the shot putter, Adam. Yes, she made the team, so she's there overseas doing her foot thing right now. And we know we always got Katie, no matter what happens. We got her to always probably bring home the gold. So that concludes my report. I'm tired of that. Yeah.
Phil?
Just before I forget, since you said Allison Felix, thank you. On Thursday, September 14th, she will be at Youngstown State at Stambaugh Auditorium. Tickets are free. And so she starts at 7 o'clock. So you go on, I think, the Stambaugh Auditorium website. And I'll have Philip put it on the Facebook page.
Tony, you're pretty much Sean Peterson. He's out there for 1,500. Okay, he ran it through he was there.
He was there.
Any updates on Reggie or?
Reggie was out. Reggie had sat out a while. And then the last I read on him, he had joined the Army, which is great if you're an athlete, because then you get to basically get a Army's check, and I'm sure he's probably gonna be a lieutenant. So he'll just basically get the train. And is where the Army, links, Olivia transferred to Texas. So she left, she was at Illinois. She didn't do too good at the national. She was kind of stuck up the place. She was in the mix, and she didn't do too good, but she did transfer to Texas. So
This is super.
yeah, her coach here, her one of the her distance coach left and went to Texas, so she, and then another girl, remember the girl, she was from the Columbus area, she ran on Ohio State, Shayla Wood. I watched her run, she anchored Ohio State 4x4, she just transferred to Texas A&M, and which is cool because I remember when she was a high school junior, she said she wanted to go to A&M, but she didn't get denied, and then she went to Ohio State and made All-American there for her 2 years as well, so she's going to Texas A&M.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tony. Next, we have Mount Ultra Marathon and Trail Running with Joe Jerzik. He's not on, is he? He's not online, and I didn't receive a report from him, so we'll get a report from him and put it in the minutes. We'll move on to newsletter chair, Karen McKeon. Karen took over newsletter from Phil, so we have one person focusing on it. Karen's always looking for topics to put in, so if anybody has any topics, send them to her. You have pictures of stuff, send them to her. Of course, we have to verify it at the board of directors level, but she's doing a good job spending her time doing that. And we, as an association, must put out a newsletter at least twice a year. So this is where a lot of information will be in. She did submit a chair report. It's up on the screen. You can read it, see if there's anything major. I know she's working on the newsletter for the fall, and she's probably going to touch on any major topics from our discussions today. Okay, next. Yeah, go on next. All right, while he's looking for mine, I have the certification chair report for officials. I'm just gonna go through this real quickly, because everything is typed out. We have 98 officials as of last week. We're up 13 from last year, which is great. Our invalid officials were down 1. Invalid officials are those officials that had been an official but have an expired background check, say sport. They haven't renewed their membership, or they just don't want to be an official anymore. They can still be a member, but don't want to be an official anymore. And just remember, if you go past your safe sport or you go past your background check, your date, you automatically are flagged in the system as being an invalid official. So if that happens and we send out a newsletter, he sends out an email blast, you're not going to get it because you're an invalid official. So get your background checks and safe sports done before they expire. Just a breakdown on some of the officials. We have 67% male, 30% female. Our largest age group is 60 to 69. And some little trivia here. Our oldest official is 83 years old. He's not in here. Our youngest official is 18 years old. And the average age is 59. Just to give you based on, I just looked to see on certification numbers, who are some of the oldest officials, not oldest in age, but longest. Phil is actually the oldest official, or the longest official in the association. We have Jeff over here and Joanne, and then me and then Larry Dixon. So we're in the top 5. These are some numbers that I got from the national office from our meeting. It just gives you a total of the amount of membership did go up last year, from 2021, and their average age is 59 over, across the entire, all the entire country. So we're pretty close to what they're doing. At the annual meeting, I attended 3 sessions. They had a big official session 1, an official session 2, and then I had a special certification chair meeting. The general sessions, only 1 out of 2 are really good sessions. 1 just goes over all the awards that they hand out, and basically the second one is all the awards they handed out the previous night. So you already know everything that's going to happen. The first session's always good because they bring people in from National Federation, they bring people in from NCAA, and they go over all the updated rules and everything. So you're going to know those before they come out for the spring. There's a few certification chair meetings that I have to attend during the year. They're listed there. Oh, and I forgot. I didn't get them yet. Every year, the National Track and Officials Committee gives out outstanding service awards. It's for our associations that we look at in our association who we think should get the award. And this year's recipients are Karen Dobbs, who's here, Larry Dixon, Brian Jones, and John Mattoon. So those are this year's winners. Those people can win. You're only allowed to win once during an Olympiad. As soon as I get the certificates, I will give them out. I don't have them yet. I just wanted to touch on some of the major meets that we did this year. These are USA Track and Field Championships, and these are the championships where people get selected. When I mean select, not like I didn't do the Masters, I didn't do the youths, I didn't do the any of the meets like that where you basically go to, but these were people are selected for the indoor championship in Albuquerque this past March. Terry Armstead was selected as marshal. Doug Glass was an umpire, and I was an electronic measurement. I just wanted people to know here, there's 254 applications that were submitted by officials for that. And those are the breakdowns of what they selected. For the USATF Outdoor and U20 Championships in Eugene, I was selected as an alternate, and I really wanted to show that how there was 419 people applied for that meet, and those are the people that were selected. And they're showing head officials and everything. Those are some. And then they are, if you go to the next page for the young officials, they are starting to put more young officials on. So you can see some of the breakdowns there. Coming in mid-September will be the applications for next year where we have, well, it's not the you have the senior indoor, we'll have the US Olympic trials and U20 outdoor championships. Those will come out, those applications will come out next September, and those are open for all national and master level officials. For the NCAA meets, these were the big NCAA meets. For the indoor meet in Albuquerque, that's wrong. Wrote these again. Okay, I made a mistake and I put the stuff down. So for the Division I Track and Field East Championships in Jacksonville, Ken Vogt was selected for horizontals. For the Division I Outdoor Track and Field West in Sacramento, Doug went as the head umpire. You were also an umpire for the indoor, correct, in Albuquerque?
Yes,
and if I miss, if somebody did attend these and I don't have you on the list, please let me know and I'll update it. For the Division II Indoor Track and Field Championships of Virginia Beach, Virginia, we had Richard Hughes was a marshal and pole vault. Karen McKeon was an umpire. Chris Mullins was a pole vault. Tricia Mullins pole vault. Glenn Shelley throws. Lyle Scholl throws, and Christine Stancliffe was an implement inspector. Brian was where? At the D2? Okay. At the D3 Indoor Track and Field Championships in Birmingham, Wayne Cartwright was a clerk and Ken Vogt was an umpire. At the last year's Division III Outdoor Championships in Rochester, Larry Dixon was assistant clerk. Richard Hughes was a high jump. Karen McKeon umpire. Chris Mullins high jump. Trish Mullins high jump. Sue Pete was a clerk. Don Ports was horizontals. Christine Stancliffe was a head implements, and I was one of the running referees.
Brian.
You weren't on the sheets.
Always forgets about the vice president.
What were you doing there? I don't remember there. Okay, Dave, one thing that happened there that was okay, well, yeah, but the whole country heard about that. All right, NCAA applications, they already went out. If you are an official and you want to apply for those, you should have received something in the mail. If you didn't, you could go to this link here for RefQuest, sign up, put your information in, tell them what meets you want to do for next year, and you can be on the list to try to get selected for a meet next year. I also have in here what meet Spire's doing and the links for Spire's meet. I also put something in here for Youngstown. Their meet that they have. I also have on here the Pan American Games again, the D3, just so everybody remembers. I want to make sure all the officials know about the grants that are out there. You have the young officials grants. Those are for young officials that could get some money to get some experience. They'll give you a stipend to go to one of the major meets, like not the indoor, outdoor senior, but you could go to like the youth nationals, you could go to the masters championships, meets like that. They'll get you in and you could actually learn from somebody. They also have a rising implement inspector grant and a technical manager grant. I have a link there. If you'd like to see any of those, click on that link. Technical manager is very difficult. Technical manager, you need to know more than a referee. You need to know everything about the construction of the track, everything about the construction of every field event. I mean, we're talking about the length, width, the long jump pits. Yeah, that's the technical manager. So. Yeah, it's, I took that test and it was, you take that test, you could be a referee then, because there's, everything is inside that. For this year, we're looking at having some officials clinics. You know, some of the topics that came up is implement inspection. We really need to get more people involved in that, especially with all the meets we do. We want to make it go quickly. So the more people that know how to weigh implements and inspect them, the better. We have a couple of those pole vault and high jump lasering measuring sticks. We wanted to get people involved in that to learn. We also, Ken has agreed to do a clinic on para-athletics. We also have a young lady, Emily, who's a race walker, that agreed to do a clinic on race walking. And I'm always looking for suggestions on other clinics that could be done. So if you have any suggestions on clinics, please let me know. And there's a whole bunch of links I put down here for training. These are links that everybody should know. You should at least click on them, go to them, see what they are. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, who's next? Okay, Ken's not here. Ken's the para-athletics chair and the race walk chair, and he did do reports for that. So I haven't read them, so we'll have Frank do them.
So here we got para meets that were worked by Lake Erie officials in 2023. Ken was in the Oklahoma Endeavor Games and Thunder, Nevada, there in Oklahoma and Michigan. And then Brian was also at the Oklahoma Endeavor Games, Turnstone Endeavor Games, Blue United Nationals, and the U.S. Para Championships this past year. World Championships held in Paris, the 8th to the 17th of July. And we had 2 representatives from Northeast Ohio area, Brittany Mason and sprints, and Jenna Fiesmeyer in the sprints in the middle of this Andes. Brittany won gold in the 200. There's a nice news article there. It'll be in the report. And then the U.S. finished 3rd in the World Track and Field Track and Field Championship with 10 gold, 39 total medals for the 10-day meets, and Brazil and China were the other 2 top teams there. So there's the team roster, and the next Pan American Games will be in Santiago, Chile, in November 17th through 26th. And he's got links here for results from the various meets that went on this year. I guess Ken is the certified
He's a para-athletic chair.
Yeah, if you're one of the certified, reach out to Ken and he can get you the information you need to take the test.
And if you want to know something today, talk to Brian. We'll make them useful.
Oh,
We won't forget them. Yeah, do race walk.
Upcoming events, we've got the National 5K Championship, or Open U20 and Masters groups. September 24th in New Jersey. You've got a marathon race walk mixed relay and 10K in New York there on October 1st and October 14th in New Jersey, and men and women's 20K. There's a link there for registration and has flyers on that. There's no events, upcoming events posted on USATF, but there's more information about officiating clubs and all that. It's racewalk.com, and YouTube can also be helpful to for some more information. And so there's 3 race walk clubs in here, but looks like none of them really in our area here. So if anybody else knows any race walking clubs, sure let them know. That's it.
Okay, Phil, you have something quick on recruiting?
Yeah. Good afternoon, friends. I was not at the annual meeting last year for recruiting. I don't think it's a national position. I think it's more of what we're doing,
What's that?
recruiting. Was there anyone, it was at the national meeting for recruiting?
No, there's no position for it. It's not a national thing, no.
So there's not much to do.
National just cares about membership.
Yep. So we're trying to do this at the local level, so. What I'm going to report on then is just what we have been doing over the last year, as far as promoting membership officials, athletes, et cetera, et cetera. So our Facebook page has now 197 likes and 255 followers, which is up significantly from last year, and especially the year before. According to Facebook, our health is good, whatever that means. USATF Instagram has 301 followers and 251. We follow 251 different pages. They're mostly local universities that we follow. Their cross-country track and field teams post things. We follow them. A lot of their student athletes will follow us. We do follow some of our own members and their pages. We follow Tony, so we see some of his posts. I think follow me, I don't know. So we have now 572 posts on Instagram, because I just posted 2 things while we were here about our annual meeting and the event at YSU. Our social media presence, in my opinion, has certainly been positive. It impacts people all over the United States, even all over the world. They see our posts, helps promote our meets, helps promote officials, coaches, athletes, membership in general. It's a good way for people to reach out to us. They see a post, they can comment, or they can direct message us. So it's helpful for people to easily reach us. I'll get a notification on my phone, and if I don't know the answer, I'll ask Dave or someone else on the committee, or my dad. I'll text him or see whatever, so we can respond quickly to questions that arise. We do also have a Twitter or X or whatever, but I have not used it. Most of our content is pictures and videos, so it's not really much that we can tweet. So we haven't really done much with that. However, we did recently start a YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel has 11 subscribers, but it's only been in existence for about 3 months. So we're looking for much more video content. What I ask of you when it comes to Instagram and Facebook and also YouTube is that if you have pictures from meets that you're at, or you have videos, send them to me, recruiter@USATF.org, or text them or whatever, email them to me, send them to me, text them to me. I'll put them on our Facebook page, I'll put them on our Instagram page, I'll upload them to YouTube if it's a video, so that we can have that engagement. So whatever meets you go to, if you're at especially USATF and college meets, ones that we would be at as USA Track and Field. So if you're at these meets, post, send them to us so that we can upload them, and it makes our
page look a lot busier, because as we know, in mid-September, or, late August is not much to post, so. We're kind of in a lull right now. My dad and I have been continuing to recruit members, especially officials and athletes. And that information is wrong, as Dave has said, we are at 98. If we do get to 100, we will have an extra vote at the annual meeting, not this year, but hopefully next year, because they go on this previous year, right?
Next year, it's not gonna happen. I can guarantee you this. Every Olympic year where we have to recertify, the amount of officials goes
Which is what I want to talk about next.
until they
So,
recertify.
yes, so we need to focus on retention of officials, coaches, and athletes. With the 2024 Olympiad, as David just said, that's at the end of my report. We can anticipate losing maybe 24 members or more. So my recommendation is, since it's 2023, we can start thinking about contemplating what we might need to do for 2024 at this time, when the officials don't want to recertify for next Olympiad. So we do lose a lot of officials. So this year we can start thinking about contemplating how to anticipate that and make up for it. Perhaps if anyone is thinking about dropping their certification and they mention that to you, beg them not to, or convince them not to, or start thinking about how many that's going to be. Maybe send out a survey. Are you going to continue your membership? So that's going to be a big problem, is retention every Olympiad, especially this year. So something to start thinking about, contemplating how to not lose and maintain, and perhaps even still have 100 officials this time next year.
The only way it can do it, retain officials, is get rid of background checks, get rid of safe sport.
I agree.
Not good.
Why is that
Right.
such a hard?
It's
Why is
not,
that such a big deal to people? I don't understand the background checks and the safe sport. I mean,
Well, it's not everybody has a lot of money. I mean, it's $20 to be an official. They just raised money to be a membership. You got to pay your membership every year. Okay, your officials is every 4 years. Then you got to pay $20 every 2 years, I think it is, for background check. Then you have to sit through all that safe sport stuff. And I mean, I just had to renew my safe sport a week ago, and it said in my email, oh, it's only going to take 30 minutes to recertify. I was on it for more than an hour and a half, and it was the same stuff I remember from the last time.
folks,
that's the one downside to safe sport.
folks, I will say this though. I have 4 child abuse prevention trainings, one for the university, one for USATF, one for the church, and one for the YMCA. I have 3 different background checks that I go through, for the university, for USATF, and for the Y. All right, I'm busy, I'm earning a PhD, I'm working full time. I figure out time to do it. We have to figure out time to do it. That's the problem, and it is a problem. I'm not saying, but it is what the requirements are. So what we can do instead is figure out how to work people through it. And that's I think the best we can do with the restrictions that are given to us. You have to do it. It sucks. I know. I don't like doing it. None of us do. But helping each other through it, working with what we got, is the only thing that's I think it's gonna help us.
The only thing you can do is if they let us go back and do safe sport in a group atmosphere like they had early on, they won't let you do that anymore. You can't work with somebody to do a background check. So it's some people, you can't make everybody do so. Some people just don't like to do all that stuff, and it's needless.
Tony, may I use you an example? We're working Tony through the process to become an official. It's been a process, right? We're working through it. It's not, our website's not, the USATF website's not the easiest thing to use, right? It's not the easiest thing to navigate. The test is not the easiest thing to do. But I don't know if it's been helpful having people as a support you can call and ask, say, hey, and then we get you through it. So pulling people through it, pushing people through it. I don't know if that's been helpful for those of you that I have helped, or my dad and I have helped recruit, or that are newer officials, having people in your corner pushing you. I don't disagree. It is a pain in the ass.
It's something that's just gonna happen. We're gonna have to deal with it, and then it's gonna rise up the next year when people get through it,
So
so.
let's be creative. If we be as creative we can, and to that also, again, we can't do this, but it is an example of being creative, and I'm only saying this because it was brought up earlier. Bob Jadari is the certification chair for New England. They pay for their officials to go through the process. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, and how many members are in his association? A few thousand officials in the New York Association. We have 1,007 total, and we only have 98 officials. They got a lot of people. Some associations have a lot of money to do stuff, so it's all where you're at. Is that all you had?
I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Is there anything else? I haven't had anything from me. Really, to summarize, you guys are really the recruiters. I'm the one who has the email, but you guys are the ones out talking to people, officiating meets, competing at meets, coaching meets, working with athletes, fellow members. You're the ones out there in the community doing these things. You're the ones recruiting. You're the one putting the name out there for USA Track and Field. You're the ones making it look good. You're the ones making the officials look good. You're the ones making the athletes look good. You're the ones making it look fun. Like say, oh yeah, maybe it's something worth doing. You all are the recruiters. I'm counting on all of you as you go out to be.
And thanks everybody who worked this spring, giving out postcards, taking some posters to stuff. There are some sheets on the back table by Joanne. Take some of those out, take some of those sheets home with you and give them to people that aren't members. It has all the information on how to be a member of USA Track and Field. So take some of those with you. That's why I brought them, so we can give those out. We try to put those everywhere.
And when you use your own social media and post things, tag us in it. USATF Lake Erie. Okay, that's all I got.
All right, thanks, Phil.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna go to Brian. I won't forget him because he's gonna discuss safe sport.
Nice segue to me. Yes, I went to the convention. I went to some of the seminars they had at the convention. On safe sport. I have a monthly Zoom meeting I can do with the Safe Sport Committee. And also I get a monthly newsletter. Also get any updates of anybody that's in suspension on safe sport. And like they're saying, safe sport is not going away. Gripe about it, and I like it. It's not because it's Olympic, because it's Olympic initiative, and we are Olympic sport. It's gonna stay. Just like it stays in gymnastics, just like it stays in swimming, it's not going away. So we're gonna have to deal with it.
Why doesn't AAU have to deal with it?
Because they're not a governing Olympic body, we are.
But don't they deal with the same stuff we do? I'm just asking the questions that everybody asks me, and I don't have an answer for it.
They come down, they might have to, because there's a lot of push to make sure everybody is safe sport. With lawsuits and stuff like that, they're gonna, I think eventually they will be trying to do something along that lines.
That's all about the part. This is all. Can I have a question real quick? So if you're an educator or teacher, like, I mean, but it's still a background check. Why can't that be reported in?
I had a State Department background check, which is one of the most grueling ones, and it doesn't work in USA Track and Field.
I have 3, if they wanna do their own.
Tony's got how many probably, and he had to get one.
With education, you renew every time you renew. Is there any way that something could be brought up to make it so that it's every, whenever you renew, or if you're a master's, you don't have to renew. So just maybe every Olympiad or every 2 years rather than every year.
They talk about that, but right now, they have a parent, they have a core, you go through your core,
Right.
and then you do a section A and section B, then they repeat it. So that's the way they have it set up. People
I'm
have
just
talked
saying
about
over
that,
time,
yes.
maybe that could help officials to stay if you do it less.
Instead of yearly.
Yes, do it every 2 years.
Safe sport is different than your background check though, because as an educator, you have to do that hazing thing and.
Right.
And.
Yeah, but those are those Ohio.
And it's every year.
Right.
Yeah.
which in state sport, you have to have the right, bullying and all that stuff like that. So that's kind of why they kind of do it on a yearly basis and stuff like that. And like I said, it's not going away. If anything, eventually maybe AAU will have to comply to it.
Well, let me ask a question here. Everybody in here has pretty much seen the Safe Sport, correct? How many examples have you seen in Safe Sport that involved an official? I don't remember any examples showing an official in it. They all have to do with coaches and teammates and stuff like that, so. Yeah,
Right, that we are the ones that are
right.
As far as letting us know as officials, this is what we should be looking out for.
But I don't know anybody here that if they saw something, wouldn't say anything anyways, so. I mean,
Because Safe Sport says anybody has any contact with a minor, they have to go through it. That's why this even with officials. And also, I found out that there's almost two groups within the national office. One is for the Olympiad type. So when I went to the Para Nationals, which is a selection for the Para with the World Championship for the Paras. There's a different group than when I was with the youth, when we had youth national. Yes. So, because when I was there, I had to have a wristband at the Para Nationals to say that I was allowed to go on the track and everything else like that. And also there was designated areas for minors to change and different like that. All those things are stuff I had to, also I had to go and sign off on a lot of pages and different things like that. And I had to have my, be compliant for the year and stuff like that. When we did the youth one, if you was there for the youth one, they had a whole lot of, there's a whole lot of stuff that went on with that. If you know anything, they had a tent for 10 and under, and all the 10 unders had to go to a tent, and then they had to have a person, that parent or coach had been selected to be able to pick them up out the tent. Unification tent and stuff like that. And we did have a point, just how serious they are about it. We had, I think it was a rain delay or something like that, or when
rain or smoke.
Smoke. Well, we did, this is after this combined, and they wanted to change to do the long jump, the high jump indoors. And we wanted to move I think we had to go and talk to Jeremy and a bunch of other people to make sure that the layout where we put the bad stuff was safe for the kids. So that's just how much goes into when we have a national meet, all the things and stuff to keep the kids safe and stuff like that. So that's why you have safe sport and everything else like that. So it's there.
To stay.
So.
All right.
And if you wanted to find out if somebody's safe sport of the day, if you go to Safe Sport, there's a link on it, and then USA Track and Field, and they have a list of everybody that's certified.
Do you find out why when somebody loses their
No, basically they just say it's suspended for minor violations, and so they don't give you the details, but it's usually something like dealing with minors and stuff like that. And usually they do tell you that this person sent it or payment suspension or something like that.
I used to get those all the time, and now I don't get them. I don't get many at all. So you get them all now, and we don't.
Get some of them, yes.
I mean, there were like quite a bit.
Stop doing that.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna know the plan to redo it.
yeah, you're supposed to be noticing and try to do it. And just like he says, don't try to go past the date to do it. But if you do it too soon, that changes your date that you have to do it again. So if you're doing October, and you say you try to do it in say July, but now July is your date. When you do it, they won't use the October date anymore. So July is now your yearly thing. So try to do it within a week or two of when it's going to expire, so it doesn't change too much. Anything else?
When are you gonna get rid of it?
It's not going anywhere. As long as, like I said, as long as it's pushed for Jeanette as long as there's they have lawsuits out there for minorities and stuff like that, it's not going away. It's only gonna probably grow. That's all I'm saying.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Mhm.
Joanne, sanctions?
Yes, as of right now, we have 27 sanctions. We still have to sanction our cross-country meets. For accreditation, we need 45 or 46 sanctions, which we're never gonna meet. And I don't see in the future how we're gonna handle, we're ever going to, unless more road races come back.
And what's the main reason why we lost sanctions? Someone say that louder.
Say it for us. Brian, yeah. Brian's Brian.
Hey, you heard it himself. He doesn't do anything. Did you already do your web things? Okay. Frank did his communication and webmasters kind of together, so you heard that. Kelly, are you still online?
I am still here.
Do you want to
So-
give your Women's Commission report?
Sure. Yeah, Women's Commission. It was a history lesson at the annual meeting in 2022. The Women's Commission honored Brooks Johnson. They produced a video project honoring Brooks Johnson. And he was there to ask or answer questions and talk about his career and his promotion of female athletes back like in the 60s and 70s. So that was really interesting. The Women's Commission also bestowed 2 Women's Commission Inspirational Leader Awards this year. One to Karen Dennis, who's the former director of men's and women's track and field and cross country for Ohio State. And the other woman that was honored was Nell Jackson. And she was the first African-American to be named head coach of the U.S. Olympics women's track and field team. And that was for the 1956 Olympics. And she also served as the head coach for the 1972 Olympic Games. So those were the honorees this year at the Women's Commission. And then with respect to the business portion of our meetings, we had elections this year. And LaVonna Martin Florial has been doing a great job as the interim chair. So she was nominated and elected to become the chair of the Women's Commission for this next term, which runs through 2027. And that is my report on the Women's Commission.
All right, thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Women's LDR's done, women's track and field's done. Brian, we're gonna talk about youth.
Youth. If you know anything about youth, there's a lot of drama in youth. I think Dave and anybody who was part of the Youth National found out about just how much there's a disconnect between national office and the youth committee, national committee. There's a youth national committee that is over all of us youth chairs and stuff like that. And then there's a person at national office, Robert Beeman, who's over the grassroots. And sometimes they always don't agree on everything, to say the least. We had a lot of that at the convention. There's things that were changed because national wanted to be that way and youth committee didn't want it to be that way. As far as it used to be in the older days, we used to have bids on national youth meets, JL meets and stuff like that. Lately, it's been just national office saying we're gonna have it here. Some of that also is because how much it costs upfront to do a youth meet or a JL meet.
If anybody wants some interesting reading, go online and look at the bid forms for any of the youth meets. And see how much money the local organizing committees need to shell out just to put a bid in on it. It can't be done by an association unless you're like New York with all this money.
Right. Yeah, there's, like I said, just for like a JL, if you want to do a JL, it's like 35,000, pretty much upfront that you have to have, so you can put the bid in and stuff. And you're paying for the national office to come, the youth committee to come, and those are all hotels, airfares, rental cars, all that stuff. You know, go cards, all that stuff and things. So, like you said, he said that Spire didn't lose as much money, but they had to put up a lot of money in order to have the youth national.
Well, luckily with Larry being involved, Larry Seifert, when he was involved with a lot of the youth meets, we knew how a lot of the youth meets were run national. So when Spire had the proposal, I at least sat down with them. I said, cut this out, cut this out, cut this out. You know, if they want you to have it here, have them cut it out. So, for example, they didn't have to put down any money to have the meet there. So they got out of that. So, but there is still a lot of stuff. There was, I mean, for example, they disinvited the chair of the youth to come there. So the chair of the youth chair wasn't even allowed to come unless she wanted to come on her own money. So, but there is a lot of people that they bring that I don't think is needed and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of fighting going. That was behind, we had nothing, our association had nothing to do with that. That was more of a Spire and USA track and field thing. So we stayed out of that.
So yeah, for that, so that's just for number two. Also, we're supposed to have a calendar between AAU and USA Track and Field when we're supposed to have certain meets. Most of the country, they don't follow that. Same thing with Lake Erie Association. If you know anything, when we had our JL meets, we had our JL meet July the 17th. And you have their meet the 17th and 18th in Brookford.
Well, make sure you rephrase that. Lake Erie Association follows the schedule.
Right.
We host our local meet the week we're supposed to. We host our regional meet, or not regional, well, the regional meet the week we're supposed to. We host all of them when we're supposed to. It's the other group that does not follow.
So because of that, that's the reason why a lot of times we don't have as many at our association meeting, and that hinders us as far as making some of the things that, you know, memberships and different things like that. And that's always been a problem. I could go back years ago, when I used to coach and stuff like that, we went to both of them. But now you can't do that. AAU's getting so big that they really don't care. And and a lot of things they don't have to do that we have to do. And it's still a problem. On a national level, we talk about it at the convention, but as you see, it doesn't always get resolved. So just to let you know, that's always that's a problem. I have a monthly Q&A that I do with the youth committee. We talk about different things on that. And of course, last year we hosted the Youth National and combined. And also the JO was in Eugene, Oregon. Eugene, Oregon had over 1,500 entries. We had over 2,700 entries at our Youth National and 53 for the combined this past year. As far as some who won, probably gonna misspell his name, but thank you. He won the 17-18 200 meters at the JOs in Eugene, and he also won the 200, 400 at the Youth National at Spires. Hope, she won 800 and 800. Robin Kramer won 800 and 1,500 and 910. The Cleveland Youth won 13, 14 boys won the 4x8 relay, and then Ambar won the 15, 16 long jump at the Youth Nationals. And for the newsletter, I plan on having some of the top 6 or so who placed at the Youth Nationals and JOs to give them some recognition too, as far as those who win and stuff like that. Also, for normally at a regional meet, then we take the top 5. The last few years, they bumped just to get more people out to the nationals. They bumped it to the top 8. So if you made the finals at the regionals, you can go to the national. You can go to the JO nationals. Once again, it'll be next year. It'll be in Eugene. Our cross country national will be in Louisville, Kentucky this year. After our JOs and Columbiana, it's going to be this December 9th. and a little bit of Kentucky for those for cross country. There's also, they're gonna have a 5K national for youth in New York. It's November 4th, which is, of course, that's the end of the state meet. But they are having a national 5K road race for youth in New York. It goes from 10 for those who maybe 1300 or whatever, middle school or something like that. But
And you said the JOs in Eugene again next year?
yeah, that's where.
Well, see, that's another thing. The JOs were supposed to do, it's supposed to go east, Midwest, Central and West Virginia.
We were the youth national was in Eugene and JOs were in Austin, or not in
No,
Austin.
you're right. I'm sorry. She's right.
Yeah.
Apologize.
It's
College Station, Texas. They all-
So have the JOs. Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, College Station, Texas, is where the JO is gonna be next year, and we nationally.
All right, I was gonna say, because that's really not making it fair for people on the East Coast to get to the. I mean, not that College Station's that easy, but at least.
Sacramento, Eugene, College Station. I mean, last year, this year, next year.
Yeah, so any other questions? Maybe?
All right, that's done with the chair reports. We've pretty much all talked about the future meets. I won't go through that again. We just have the jump and throws coming, then the cross country, and then the indoor meet that we're trying to stay ahead of and plan. Then here I have Jane Parks. She's part of the USATF Road Race Technical Council, and she asked if she could say some words. So she has a little presentation to talk about road racing and certification. If you want to, you can come up or stay where you're at. It doesn't matter.
Here's you can see me and see you guys too. All right, so this is really gonna be more than you ever want to know about race course measurement. I know it's late and I will try and make it short, but I want to give you some things to think about associated with road racing as opposed to track and field. But it applies to everything. So I am the USATF course certifier. I am World Athletics grade A measure, supporting the World Athletics. I'm the Road Race Technical Council Vice Chair West, which is west of the Mississippi as opposed to east. And I'm also the registrar. The Road Race Technical Council is actually a committee from the USATF, but no one knows about it. We are. I've also measured the New York City Marathon. I've measured the Philly Marathon. I've measured the Cleveland Marathon. I've measured the Akron Marathon. The World Athletics World Championships are this week in Europe, and last year they were in Oregon, and I was fortunate enough to measure the marathon and the race walk. And I'm the first woman in the world to ever measure a World Athletics Championship, so it's kind of a big deal. I measured the Olympic trials in Atlanta last or 2 years ago, and I am scheduled to measure the Olympic trials for the marathon in Orlando for the 2024 Paris Olympics. So why am I here? Because I want to work locally with you folks because I live here and I'd like to do things here if anybody would like to do that. So let me talk a little bit about certified road race courses. What are they? Well, it's a measured course using a bicycle and a Jones counter. Most people think they use GPS or they use a car or whatever, but it's actually measured using a bicycle and a particular piece of equipment called a Jones counter, which is a very simple mechanical mounted counter that you put on the axle of your bicycle and you ride your bicycle around. And it's much more accurate than GPS and it's much more accurate than a regular bicycle counter. So it's very, very accurate. One count on a Jones counter is 4 inches. So we're literally within like 4 inches. We use the shortest possible route. And that means we make sure we measure the way a runner will run the best possible course that they could possibly run. So that's very important too. We also know that we're not perfect. So we add a short course prevention factor in, which means we add 1.1% of the distance to a race. So it's actually a little bit more than what the 5K is, a little bit more than a 5K. in case we didn't ride the best route. And it also means that any runner who runs has run at least the stated distance, so it can be a record. So that's why we do what we do. USATF courses remain in effect for 10 years. So once you get a course measured, if it doesn't change, it's good for 10 years. World Athletics is a little different. They use 5 years. So we now are working with World Athletics. So we also have 5-year and 10-year increments, depending on whether we're certifying for USATF or World Athletics. Race walks, they do usually K loops, like 1K, 1.5K, 2K loops. We measure those as well. Again, we have to be extremely accurate because when we're talking about a 1K loop and we do it 20 times, even the slightest distance being off is going to make a big difference. So it's really important to be accurate. Next slide. Why do we need certified courses? Because for sanctions, you need a certified course, and I know we've been talking about sanctions. One way to increase your sanctions is road races. They're not as complicated as track meets. They're cheaper usually to put on. So maybe a way to look at how you could get more sanctions is to get back to more certified road races and race courses. So race courses are really helpful. They protect the race director, they protect the timers, they protect the participants, because it means that you are running that stated distance if you follow the map the way it is intended to be done. So I used to measure in a lot of New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, spent a lot of time there. And the timers used to love having the certified courses because it's protected them, because if somebody ran a certified course, then people couldn't really complain about my time's wrong. No, you ran the race, this is the certified distance, and they were good, so they like that. Race directors liked it too, because it also, for the same reason, it just said that if you ran a certified course, you ran the distance that was stated. So it's really good for everyone to have certified courses. You need them for world records, you need them for USATF or for the master's records, so they're important for that. You need it for USATF championships. So certified courses are really important for a lot of reasons and a lot of different levels. As of this past year, we started doing World Athletics certified courses for elite athlete points, and I know Dave said something about USATF seems to focus on the elites. Yeah, they do. So they're pushing more courses to be World Athletics certified. We do that as well. I'm a World Athletics measure, so I can do that as well. And they are looking for having races that are World Athletics certified so they can get their points. It's been a big issue for us this year. Certified courses, you need them to qualify for Boston, you need them for the Olympic trials, you need them for a lot of different reasons, and of course also for the points as well. So it's really important for elite runners or runners that are interested in going to Boston to have a certified course. And I guess finally, for consistency, you can run all over the world, and if you run a certified course, you know you've run the distance. So it doesn't matter whether you're a casual athlete or whether you're an elite athlete. If you want to run a race and say you ran a 10K or a 5K and it's a certified course, you know that you ran that. So it's important for that too. Now the downside is you have to pay for it. Race directors don't necessarily like it. There's not a whole lot of certified courses in the United States. At least not in Ohio, I should say United States. In Ohio, there's not very many. I see every single course that comes in as a registrar for the entire United States. I see every single course. Ohio doesn't have one. There's a lot of states that are really big on it. There's some states that aren't so much, unfortunately. Ohio is not one of them. So I'd like to kind of work with you folks and see if we can maybe up that a little bit, if that's possible, if it helps the association and it helps the others. Okay. Next slide. Who can measure a race course? Anybody. Doesn't have to be me, it could be anybody. We have guidelines. The Road Race Technical Council has a website, it's rtc.net. It has a manual for how to do it. It has an online help system. It has map requirements, how to make a map. It tells you how to measure using a Jones counter. It also lists all the certifiers who can help you. And it's very helpful. It's just basically has all the information you need. Anybody can do it. What do you need for skills? You need to be able to ride a bike. You need to be able to do math. Math is the hard part. You need to know how to see the shortest possible route. You need to use an online program that we just developed, which is very helpful because it does some of the math for you, so that helps. You need to create accurate maps, and you really need to be like super accurate. But other than that, it's a lot of fun, very interesting, and there's a lot of help for it. We're more than happy to help everybody. Once you measure a course, it then goes state certified. So there's a difference between a measured course and a certified course. It's not certified until it's been reviewed. So anybody can measure, but it has to be reviewed. The state certifier for Ohio is Dave Heifetz. I am also a certifier. I just happen to have the states of Minnesota and Connecticut, but I can help anybody in Ohio. As the vice chair, there's two vice chairs. There's vice chair east and the west. So once it gets certified, it goes to the vice chairs. Vice chair east does east of the Mississippi. Vice chair west does west of the Mississippi, and I'm west of the Mississippi. Don't ask me why, but I'm also so also now we have yet another level. We have the World Athletics, and so then after it goes to the certifiers, and it goes to the vice chairs, then it goes to the World Athletics chair, and it can become a World Athletics certified course. And then when all that's done, it comes back to me as the registrar. And as I said, I get to see every course in the whole US. So ask me about any course and I can find it. Next slide. What does a certification map look like? Most people have never seen these. There is a certification sheet, and it has a certification number, and that's what you use when you sanction. You put in that certification number. In this case, this is the Guardian Mile, which I measured. It is OH23004 JHP. JHP are my initials as the certifier. OH is the state. 2323 is the year it was certified. So that is obviously goes for you. Certification number tells you a lot about the certificate itself. The map is on the other side there, the Guardian Mile. On the Hope Memorial Bridge, it has detailed information for the start, detailed information for the finish. Officials, race officials for road race need to see those maps and make sure that they are laid out, the course is laid out exactly the way it's supposed to be laid out. And that is critical, especially for records. And now for the World Athletics points, it's becoming more and more of an issue. Next slide. I'll go through this pretty quick for you. How do I find a certified course? Well, there it is. CertifiedRoadRaces.com. You can find it. That's the sheet. When it comes up, you look at that site, view certified courses, press the button, it brings up a search sheet. You can search on the number, you can search on the town, you can search on the year, you can search on the distance. So there's a lot of things you can search on, and you can find any course in the United States. If you were a measurer, you would use that little yellow button and you would log in, and you can use this site to actually put in information to get your course certified. Moving to the next one. Okay, recently in Lake Erie region, I just pulled a few Cleveland Marathon, Akron Marathon, the Guardian Mile, which I did the other two as well. Johnny Cape Jog, which is part of the Grand Prix series. I measured that one this year. There's not very many. The Women's 6K Festival is a championship race. It was also measured by David, who's the certifier for Ohio. And we really need more certified courses. That's kind of a short list, which isn't a good thing. So I really like to work with you folks to see if we can get more of those in. And then maybe it'll help you with your Grand Prix. Next slide. Road and race walk certified course officials need to be able to see those certificates. And so a lot of people don't even know they exist. I'm trying to get that word out. Yeah, those courses exist, the maps exist. If you lay out the course correctly, It's record eligible. You want to make sure that it is done correctly. If you're an official for either a race walk or a road race, it'll give you details from the start, the finish, any turnarounds, anything that defines the race course is stated very clearly on the map. It should be stated very clearly on the map. For USATF championships, the measure or designee has to be actually in the lead vehicle, like the New York City Marathon. They have to have someone in the lead vehicle to make sure that course is run correctly because it's a points race for elite athletes. So they have that, so that happens. Race walk and road race courses, again, you need to know now whether it's USATF or World Athletics or both, and that's just recently happened, but we have some races that are USATF, but they're not World Athletics. And if people are looking for points, they need to know it's World Athletics. And we've had some issues across the country where people thought they were running World Athletics for points, and they weren't. So it's a learning curve for everyone, but as officials, it's quite helpful if you understand all these nuances, or at least know to ask questions if there's a question about, is it USATF or is it World Athletics? Next slide. How do I find information? RTC.net, certifiedroadraces.com, your state certifier, which is David, me. I'm local, I'm around, I'm more than happy to help. So please, if you have any questions on any of this, I breezed through this super fast, but slides are there, contact me, I can talk for hours about this stuff, hours and hours. Next slide. Okay, what can you do? Get the word out to race directors about the importance of certified courses. Riding a car around the course and saying it's a 10-mile course is not accurate. So please, please, please let people know how important it is. It really is important. It is important to even local runners, because I have friends who say they ran a 10-mile race and they had this phenomenal time, but their watch said it was only 9.3 miles. I said, does that bother you? Well, I had a great time, you know, they think it's wonderful, but it's not, because they didn't run 10 miles. So they need to know when a race says it's 10 miles, it's really 10 miles, or whatever the course is. And I said start a road race point series, but you actually have one. So it's really build on yours. And if I can help with that, I would be really happy if I can help you build on that Grand Prix series. New Jersey has a phenomenal Grand Prix series. They have tons of sanctions coming in through the road races that need sanctioning. And they're all part of the Grand Prix series. And it also means that they get more USATF members, because you can't be in the Grand Prix unless you're a USATF member. So they get members and they get sanctions. And if I can help in any way to help you do that, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. So can't talk any faster than that, I don't think.
What's the typical cost of getting a course certified?
Okay, that's a really good question. So all the course measures are independent contractors. They all make up their own rates. So I can't give you an answer.
Okay.
In terms, I can say that well, it really depends, because it depends on what part of the country you're in. In New York, they can charge more. In Ohio, they can't. It depends on whether you're nice to me or not. And I'll come measure your course. I mean, whatever. I mean, there is no, I can't give you a number for that. I wish I could, but I can't.
But USA Track and Field, do they have a certified fee? It has to get certified through USA Track and Field.
Right.
Is there a
And
fee
it's
for that?
no, that's actually all part of the course fee. When you pay, when a race director pays for a course,
Right.
that includes everything. That has to be negotiated with that particular person. Yeah, we do get a little bit of money, but it comes through the race director. So
Well, no, I mean, I understand it,
Yeah.
and that's,
yeah, but
I mean,
there is no
first,
fee.
yeah, I mean, to get a road race sanction, number one, is very difficult because of safe sport.
Yeah.
And then second of all,
Yeah.
if you think that they're gonna pay you to certify a local 5K that's raising money for some Girl Scout project,
But I think the major road races, I
Thank you for the races, and actually, again, in New Jersey, because they had this big Grand Prix thing, local races would get it done because it was kind of like, well, that's what you do. Because we wanna know I'm really running a 5K, and it's in the point series, and I'm gonna get points for this. And so, I mean, it's one of the things that it takes time to build, but they did build it, and they were pretty successful with getting local races done today. But yeah, I mean, the big races, yeah, you need it because like if you're gonna qualify for Boston and you want a marathon, then you're gonna have to. do it.
right.
Yeah. And it's good for 10 years.
Right.
Telling people, it's good for 10 years. So like, yeah, you pay this fee, it's good for 10 years.
I think basically you want to know, are we talking hundreds or are we talking thousands?
Oh, no, hundreds. No, we're not talking thousands. Unless you're talking about a real big marathon, like a big marathon would be, maybe 1,000 or so. And a lot depends on, but a big marathon like Cleveland Marathon can afford something like that. A 5K, obviously, we're talking a couple hundred. It's more like this. And again, it has value to it. So it's one of the things that it would help to get that word out, to see if people are interested. Again, I'm willing to work with people on it. There are measures within the state in different places. I'm just one of many. I'm throwing it out there to you. I guess more than anything, if it's helpful to you, I would like to help you do it.
No, thank you. I think it was enlightening. Now I think after we learned about this, now we're gonna have to start learning about surveyors for tracks. No, thanks. It was a lot to know about.
But I'm more than welcome to answer any questions either now or like send me email. Again, I can just talk for hours about this.
And this presentation will be in the minutes, so be able to look at that. So everything will be in there. Thank you. All right, the next big point of business is voting on the bylaws. Do we want to vote on each one individually or vote on all of them at one time?
Make a motion to vote on it all at one time.
I second.
So I need to read them again.
I'll make a motion not to read them again.
I'll second that.
I move that we vote on what you put up in the minutes, all the changes at one time.
I thought we just did 2 people ago, 2 motions ago.
Okay. Good, let's vote.
Okay, how many are in favor of the new bylaws? The changes to the bylaws? Against? Okay, all right, so that's it with all bylaws. Do we have anything new that anybody wants to discuss? We have an hour. Before we get kicked out of here. Anybody online?
I'm good, Dave. John and I are good here in Cincinnati.
Okay, what was that, Terry?
Okay.
It's probably will be at Spire. Oh, which one are you talking about? Our local indoor? They haven't figured that out. No, he's talking senior indoors, right? Yeah, they haven't. No. No, but I'll probably, I don't know. Where do you think the trials are gonna be? Probably bet on that, so.
The Indoor Masters Regional Midwest will hopefully be either March 2nd or 3rd, 2024. I'm looking at 2 places right now. It'll be a standalone region meet. If you're an official, I might need. Outdoors will be 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to Sacramento. It'll be early July.
But they didn't make the date for the Masters yet.
They did not, so I'm guessing that it's going to be the end of July, but I don't know that, but I'll try to go 2 to 3 weeks prior to that. That's all.
But not on the 12th to the 17th.
But no.
Okay. Cause I'm hoping if they do put it on the same days. We get a lot of the East Coast Masters coming to us.
I think they'd be crazy if they did
So,
that same weekend.
okay. Terry, do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll get the meeting minutes put together and online as soon as we can. Let me figure out how to turn this recording off.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Because it's gonna take a while to